Hello everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. I want to talk about anxiety today. I'm actually feeling anxious myself right now because I'm doing this video in the early morning and I can see the sun is coming up above the horizon and I may have to stop in a minute and reconfigure my my setup. But anyway, I hope that you're well. Hope that all is going fine in your life. Anxiety, though, is something that affects women more than men, and it affects older women more than anyone. It's definitely a mental health challenge for women over 60, and it sometimes leads to depression, isolation, loneliness. And if we can get a control of anxiety and channel it in a way that we can give it some structure and some framework, boundaries, I think it can be helpful. And one of our bloggers, it was Joan Senio, wrote this article about how to recognize these signs of anxiety in yourself and how to do something about it, how to prevent it, how to navigate away from it. And I think it's a really, really good piece of advice that if we accept that we know that anxiety is a cause of a lot of mental and physical distress in our lives, in our 60s and older. Now, there are some gender disparities that she talks about, which I think are really interesting to note, and that is that women do tend to get anxiety more than men. We get these panic attacks, agoraphobia, social anxiety disorders. All these post-traumatic stress disorders are more common with women than they are with men. So I don't know the chemistry about that, but I think it's an important factor. I think we're more empathic. I think that's part of the challenge, that we really do feel, for other people, and that's part of our challenge to want to, help them and, improve things for other people. But basically, feeling anxious just prevents our capacity for living life to its fullest and for being happy. And that's a really important thing. So what are some of the conditions or some of the things that contribute to anxiety in women, maybe more than men, and to women over 60 in particular? And thank you, Joan, for these insights. The first is hormonal changes. Duh, like no surprises there. Like we have got less estrogen, we've got less the chemicals that are preventing stress. So we've got more stress in our cortisol flowing through our bodies. Belly fat, all those things. Menopause, of course, and perimenopause, postmenopause, all can lead to anxiety symptoms. Health issues in general. We've got, not only have we got things actually happening to us, but we've actually got things that are chronic health challenges built up over years. So, I'm not talking just about myself, but blood pressure for me has always been an issue, and I have moments where it's gotten worse. It's actually very much under control right now. But those kinds of chronic illnesses just creep up on you as you get a little bit older, and there's just nothing that you can do. But there is a lot you can do. You can do things to improve your health, your weight, your diet. Not dieting, but your food, your nutrition. All those things you can do to help you with certain illnesses that might be appearing. Diabetes, for example. I actually occasionally when I go to the doctor, get into this pre-diabetic state where my blood sugar is too high, and then I sort of wheel back and know what I'm doing that I need to change. So you can help yourself with some of these things, but it's worrying. It's anxiety producing, and I think that these chronic health situations are nerve-wracking. Not to mention things that really happen. A diagnosis that happens, that you deal with, that you get over. I don't know how people manage sometimes with cancer diagnosis. I touch wood, and I'm so grateful that I have not had to deal with that yet, because it's very possible. But the thing is, we all have, when you have this diagnosis, they worry you. You're anxious because of it. So you've got to find some ways, to kind of lift yourself up above it, because that's, it's not going to help you any other way. So financial is the next thing. Financial worries. Tell me that's not anxiety producing. It doesn't matter if even you've taken the time in your life, unlike many women, to save. You've got savings. You still worry because you know that, well, you're going to live longer. You're going to need money for longer, and you're going to have increased expenses. That money that you were saving 20 years ago isn't worth as much now. And recessions and all these inflation issues are a big, big worry when it comes to money. Tell me about it. Tell me that anyone's not worried about that. Oh, wait. Everybody's worried about it. It's a big deal. Life transitions in general, when you're in your 60s and 70s, moving to a new place. Maybe you've had to move out of your house. Your husband or your partner have passed away, and you've died, and you really need to move into a cheaper place or into a smaller place. You've relocated to a new city to be close to your children or grandchildren. Just life transitions. There may be estrangement issues that you're dealing with. It happens. It happens. It's sad, but it does happen. And so you've got all these life changes, these kind of, shifts in the way that you've done things. The context of friendship has changed. You're having to make new friends, and it's scary. It's anxiety producing. Another thing, of course, is loss of a job and loss of a partner. I've mentioned already. Losses. Everything doesn't last forever. The Buddhists were right. Uncertainty and loss are part of life. It's built into the way of life. So what are some of the symptoms to look out for? You know when you're anxious. I probably don't even need to mention some of these things, but excessive worrying. Excessive worrying is where you always see the outcome that's like, what could possibly happen? Well, you can think of it. You can think of the worst possible thing that can happen times 10. You can amplify it, 50 times. You worry. That's a sign that you just know you're worrying too much. Your finances, your family, everything's just on your mind. That's the first thing. There are physical symptoms, of course. You've got a stomach ache, you've got headaches, your blood pressure goes up, you're just nervous, you can feel, the anxiety, panic attacks, like certain situations trigger you. These are things that you can notice. This is a situation that you need to pay attention to. Another thing is sleep disturbances, things like you wake up in the middle of the night, or you're just, you're unable to get back to sleep, or you wake up early in the morning. I often think about this because I get up at 4 or 5 every morning, and I think, should I be sleeping longer? But I know I went to bed at 10, so it's kind of okay. But I feel, it does, worry me sometimes, but that is a symptom if you're having difficulty sleeping. Social withdrawal is another sign of anxiety. That you just don't want to go out. You don't want to see anybody. You just don't want to hang out with anybody, do anything. You avoid social situations. You turn down, you decline invitations. You don't accept travel opportunities. You just know that, you'd rather not. Would rather not. Fear of embarrassment or judgment, that sort of constant trying to compare yourself to other people, knowing that you're not as good as them, feeling insecure. Those are feelings of anxiety too. So these are the ones that you can look for, that are the symptoms of anxiety, that you can do some things. And I've got some things you can do. So if you're feeling any of those, nausea, weakness, pain, even pains in your chest, they aren't heart attack related, just anxiety, pressure. Recognizing cardiac disease, though, is a really big thing. So if you've got chest pains and nausea and shortness of breath, you need to get help. But knowing the symptoms is super important. So what are some of the things you can do? Well, you can join 16Me. I'm joking, but seriously, stay connected. Have friends, have people that you talk to. Do therapy if you have to. It's no shame. If you need to call a psychiatrist or a counselor to have some guidance through this, it's not a problem. Do it if you can afford it. And of course, if you can find other counseling help in your local community, but staying connected is important. Medication is sometimes necessary, and it's no big deal. It's not something to worry about. That's what medication's for. It's for helping you to overcome these things. Make some lifestyle changes. Downsize is a big one for helping. Getting out and doing exercise. Physically walking, doing things that, get your heart rate going. Those are things that can help. Meditation, I've mentioned a gazillion times, but it is actually a very cool thing to do if you're feeling anxious. I actually probably use meditation and mindfulness more than anything if I have a particular thing on my mind. And maybe you've got something too. I would love your feedback on this, actually, by the way. If you've got some things that you've done what kinds of anxiety are you facing? If you want to share, that would be wonderful. And also, what do you do? What are your kind of reactions or your antidotes or your things you do to deal with it? I hope it's been a useful conversation. I know anxiety is, who wants to talk about anxiety? It makes me anxious, and my son hasn't even come up yet. I didn't need to worry at all. But, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay to make these changes and to accept that you might need some help. But stay tuned here. 16Me is a community for women who are facing all kinds of life changes. We've got our Patreon supporters group, which is a wonderful group. You can get together twice a week in a live show. I do exclusive videos. We chat with each other about my travel. We do all kinds of things that's a little bit more personal than the regular channels. But, stay close to your friends and your family. Make the best of your situation. Know the signs to look for in anxiety, and then do something about it, okay? Take good care, everybody. I'm sending you lots and lots of love.